Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on Buy Now, Pay Later and Credit Card Installments offered by Amazon Payment Services. So with this, we'll start with the webinar and a quick introduction about the panelists today or the speakers today for the webinar. I'm Hina, and I'm a senior product manager at Amazon Payment Services. And I also have my colleague Ankit, who is a program manager for Amazon Payment Services. The agenda for today is we will first talk about the credit landscape. What does the credit landscape looks like in MENA? The product overview about BNPL and credit card installments, which is being offered by Amazon Payment Services. Then what is Buy Now, Pay Later, credit card installments? Value proposition for both customers as well as for merchants, and the impact. What is the impact, and why should we offer, or the merchants and our customers avail Buy Now, Pay Later and credit card installments? And at the end, we'll also talk about what are the recommended best practices for making the most out of BNPL and credit card installments. And then we'll open up for the Q&A session for our guests. So first, let's see what does the credit landscape in MENA looks like. Starting with UAE. UAE as a region is a carded region where almost 95% of the customers use digital payments over here. People have access to banking systems. Banking systems are emerging. People have either a debit or a credit card. And the banks are usually targeting customers who has stable income when it comes to giving credit card. And the utilization of credit card and debit cards are fairly very high in UAE. And from an installment perspective, from a customer preference perspective, customers over here prefer 0% installments and want to buy on a smaller tenure plans. When we say smaller tenure plans, this basically means 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months. That's what the customer preference is. While on KSA, if we look at, then it's a very different market comparative to UAE. KSA is more of a debit-based market where MADA is very dominant when it comes to the scheme on debit card. And more than 60% of the customers in Saudi Arabia have used either a wallet or a prepaid card or a debit card or a bank account. And from a preference perspective, 0% is a must-have in Saudi Arabia. Interest rate as a concept is not something which is very much preferred in Saudi Arabia with the customers. Now moving on with Egypt. Again, a very different market from UAE and Saudi Arabia where cash is a king. Customers usually prefer to buy on cash. There is lack of proper banking infrastructure or a financial inclusion, and customers are willing to pay for a higher interest rate when buying anything on installments. We'll move on. Now, what are the solutions? What are the credit solutions that is being offered by Amazon Payment Services? So if we look at UAE, then we offer 0% installments on Buy Now, Pay Later product. We have partnered with Tabby. And on credit card installments, we have 15 banks and we offer both 0% as well as the interest-bearing plans for the merchants and for customers. When we look at Saudi Arabia, very similar to UAE, we offer 0% installments with our partner, Buy Now, Pay Later partner, Tabby. And we offer 7 banks over there majorly on 0% interest rate because that's what the customer preference is. Moving on to Egypt, we have BNPL with value, where we offer both 0% as well as an interest-bearing plans. Usually, merchants prefer to offer 0% installments for a shorter tenure plans, and for a longer tenure plans, they prefer to offer interest-bearing plans. And when we talk about the credit card installments, we have both 0% as well as the interest-bearing plans with our banks. And we cover majority of the bank in all the 3 area markets, which is UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. In Kuwait, we do offer 1 bank on the 0% interest on credit card installments, and similarly in Jordan as well. Now let's go deep in terms of an understanding what is BNPL. BNPL, as it stands for, is buy now, pay later. It means translates to a customer buys now and pay later in an installments to a third party provider. So the product offer that we have in UAE and Saudi Arabia enables customers to buy in 4 equal payment, which basically means that the first installment will be deducted at the time of the transaction and the remaining 3 will be converted into an installment. In Egypt, we have partnered with Value, where we offer installments up to 60-month plans. Starting with UAE and Saudi Arabia, where we offer 0% installments on our buy now, pay later transaction in partnership with Tabby. Tabby is a financial provider over here who underwrites the customer for a line of credit for a particular transaction. It's a 0% interest installment where as I said earlier, that the customer pays the 25% of the transaction then and there, and then the remaining 75% of the transaction is being converted into 3 months. So for example, let's say if a customer has bought something on Jan 1st, then the first installment will be deducted then and there when the customer is at the checkout using any of the debit, credit, MADA, or an Apple Pay payment instrument, and then remaining of the 3 transactions will be converted into an installment, which means on Feb 1st, then March, and then April, that the customer will be paying back to Tabby in installments. So if we look at our financial partner, which is Tabby, they have around 4 million customers, both in UAE and Saudi Arabia combined. 80% of their customer portfolio is Gen Z and Gen Y, which is mainly under 35-year, as a age group. And the best part for the merchants is that the merchant gets paid in full. So if it's a transaction amount is, let's say, 1,200 dirhams or a Saudi riyal, then the merchant is going to get paid full 1,200, and there is no risk for the merchant or no liability being taken up by the merchant if the customer is not paid any of the installment to Tabby. That is something, a relationship between Tabby and a customer to recover the funds. So a merchant gets paid in full, and there is no risk at all for a merchant to on any of the installment if unpaid by the customer. If we look at value in Egypt, buy now, pay later is a very different sort of a product construct when we compare UAE and Saudi Arabia. BNPL in Egypt is an account level lending, which basically what it means is that I, as a customer, has to go to value booth or a value, designated areas, submit my documentation work, and at real time, I will be assigned a credit after the checks which has been done by value. And then that credit limit can be utilized on any of the merchant websites where value as a payment method or buy now, pay later as a payment method by Amazon Payment Services is being offered. So for example, let's say I have been given a line of credit of 100,000 Egyptian pound, and I am on any of the merchant website, and my transaction amount is 10,000. 10,000 I can utilize it now, and then remaining 90,000 I can utilize on any other merchant websites. And we offer both the plans, 0% as well as the interest-bearing installment plan. And the customer has a wide option to repay, which is from 6 to 60-month installment plan. Along with the buy now, pay later provider, we also have 2 more products, which is Cashew and 2U. Cashback is basically a cashback product. If a customer has received a cashback, then a customer can utilize that amount as well from the BNPL transaction, and the remaining amount will be converted into an installment. And 2U is a gift card which has been offered by the buy now, pay later provider. Now, I have got a line of credit from Value, from my BNPL provider. How do I repay it back is a question. And again, like Egypt being a cash market, cash as a payment facility is also available to the customer through Fawri and Aman, where a customer can go and do the repayment. Other than that, we also offer the payment instruments, which are Visa, MasterCard, and Visa. And looking at the portfolio of the customers and who are these customers who are actually buying. So Value has over 1 million customers in Egypt. And out of 1 million customers, 40% of the customers are unbanked, or has a very thin file of credit history available, and these are the customers who actually prefer to pay in cash. So the beauty about BNPL in Egypt with Amazon Payment Services is that not only a credit card or a debit card customer will be able to avail installments, but even a cash customer can avail in installments using buy now pay later. And again, similar to UAE and Saudi Arabia, there is no risk for the merchant. Merchant gets paid in full, and while the customer keeps paying it in installments to the buy now pay later provider. Now let's look at the buy now pay later customer experience. Let's look at UAE and Saudi Arabia. So let's assume that I'm a new customer, first time coming on any of the merchant website, trying to buy. What I'll do is I will, as a customer, go to the merchant website, put something on my card. Then I will, after that, click on proceed to buy. On the payment page, on any of the merchant payment page, I will see the option of buy now pay later, which has been provided over here. I will select that, click on place your order. Then after that, I'll be redirected to the provider's website, which is Tabby's website, where I will enter my phone number. I will link my phone number for an OTP verification. I will perform that. Once the OTP verification is being done, after that, in case of UAE and Saudi Arabia, I will add my Emirates ID, front and back both, then confirm my details. After that, I will add my payment instrument. Now, why the payment instrument is being needed over here is because the customer will be paying for the first installment, and that's where this payment instrument is being needed, and the same card will be utilized for the subsequent repayment of the transactions. So let's say I've added my MasterCard over here, which ends with 1234, and then my first installment is being charged, and I'm brought back on the merchant website. It's as simple. It's just a 3-step process for any customer to buy on buy now pay later. Now let's look at the return customer. So the best part about return customer is that we don't have to add as a customer the Emirates ID or any other, identification related details, because I've already done that once when for the first time I was shopping on buy now pay later on any of the merchant website. I click on buy now pay later on the payment page. After that, I will add my phone number here for the verification and choose my card, whichever through I want to pay. So I want to pay now this time with my Visa card, which ends with 2000. And that's it. The transaction has been done. Super simple for return customers. Now let's look at value. For value, the checkout experience that we offer is that the customer has to get a line of credit first with value and then come on any of the merchant website. I click on proceed to buy. And over here, I will be able to see the installment plan, which is there on the merchant website. Then I link or create my account. In case of linking, then I will need to enter my phone number over here. I click continue, do the OTP verification and processing, and done. That's it. It's very simple, just a one-step process of verifying my phone number or performing an OTP verification, and the transaction is complete. Now let's look at what is installments. What is credit card installments? Credit card installments is a facility offered by Amazon Payment Services, where if any of the customer holds a credit card with any of the partner bank of APS, then the transaction can be converted into an installment. Here we offer a wide range of installment plans, right from 3 months to 60 months, depending on your bank to bank and region to region. Let's look at what is the product offering for installments. So the problems that what we are trying to solve with credit card installments is that this is a streamlined process when it comes to the checkout for a merchant as well as for customer. So traditionally, if we look at, a customer has to call the bank and convert the transaction into an installment. So it's an offline transaction, it's an online transaction, and a customer has to do an offline step to convert it into an installments, versus what Amazon Payment Services has done is Amazon Payment Services has tied up with all the partner banks of credit card installments and brought everyone at one place, and then a very simple way for a customer to come on the merchant website, select the plan, and complete the transaction. No need for a customer to call any of the banks to convert it into an installment. Parallelly, it also helps the customers to increase their purchasing power, because now a customer knows that I don't need to pay my full transaction amount at the end of the month when my credit card statement is being generated. So naturally, the customer's purchasing power gets increased. And this is a real-time decision a customer has to take. As I said earlier, that there is no post facto a customer to call and convert the transaction into an installment. And it also, like the partnerships that we have with Amazon, with the banks, where we offer exclusive 0% installments plans with some of our banks, which we will see at a later slides. Now let's look at why should any merchant choose Amazon Payment Services installments. The first, if we look at, is the fees. So as I said that if a merchant has to do a tie-up with banks, then we offer 15 banks today. Imagine a merchant now has to do tie-up with all the 15 banks one by one to process installment transactions. So we save time for our merchants when it comes to the multiple bank tie-ups that a merchant has to do and do a separate agreements. And at the same time, we offer exclusive 0% plans to our merchants, which they can offer it to the customers, and merchants doesn't need to pay anything for that. So it's a win-win situation for customers as well as for merchants. And similarly, if a merchant has to do a tie-up with all these individual 15 banks in UAE and 7 banks in Saudi and around 9-10 banks in Egypt, a merchant has to keep a tab of reconciliation for each of the bank, do the fund management, do reporting. So a lot of work at the merchant side. And all this is something which a merchant can view with Amazon Payment Services on a single dashboard on the Fort back office. And this is a real-time decision making for customers. Customer doesn't need to call any of the call center to convert the transaction into an installment. So these were some of the value propositions or some of the reasons why a merchant and a customer should choose installments by Amazon Payment Services. Now let's look at the partner banks. So if you'll see in UAE, we offer all the major banks, right from Emirates NBD to ADCB, Mashreq, RAC, FAB. We cover almost 70 to 75% of the credit card market in the installments. And similarly in Saudi Arabia, we work with all the major banks, which is SAB, Al Raji, Riyadh, Bank Al Jazeera. All the big banks and major banks are there. Similarly, in Egypt as well, we work with CIB, Alex, Bank Masr, Bank Audi. All the major banks are there when it comes to credit card installments. And in Jordan, Arab Bank, which is the largest bank over there, and in Kuwait, NBK, again, it's the largest bank in Kuwait. If we look at our merchant pipeline, then we can see that we serve our merchants on all the verticals, which are more of a high transacting websites like airline, travel, e-commerce, electronics, insurance, education, entertainment, government. And in each of the segment, we cater to all the types of merchant, right from Air Arabia to Fly Egypt, Amazon, Cairo sales, in all the 3 geographies or 5 geographies rather, that we work on installments for our merchants. Now let's look at the credit card checkout experience. First, if we look at the hosted experience that we offer, what does this hosted experience basically means? This hosted experience means that the merchant can host installment on then and their website, which basically means that the merchant can offer a very seamless experience to their customers, where all the installment selection of plan, conversion, and the entering of the credit card, everything happens on a merchant website. So let's say I, as a customer, is on the merchant website and I've selected this product, which is Sony PlayStation. I click on buy now. I'll come on the merchant website on the payment page. And the moment I enter my card details over here, and if the card is being qualified for installment, I will automatically over here see the installment plans on the merchant website. Here we can say that this card of mine, which is 4600 ending with 2610, is an installment qualified card for 0% installments. I will see the installment plans over here depending on the card which I use and on the, the transaction amount. I can see here 3-month plan. I click on that and I see here, then that's it. The transaction is done. Very simple, just in one step, a customer has to select the plan and the transaction is complete. Moving on with the redirection experience. So the redirection experience is for the merchants where merchants, quickly want to go live and wants to do lightweight effort on installments integration. So very simple that the customer will be redirected on the Amazon Payment Services redirection page where the customer will be selecting the plans. So when I'm here on the payment page, I select on installments. And this is where I'll be redirected to. I see that the country is UAE. This can be changed based on where the merchant business is. So if it's Saudi Arabia, then it's going to be Saudi Arabia and Egypt, so forth on. I select my bank, whichever card which I have. The moment I select this, I see over here the plans over here. Then I enter my card details, agree to the terms and condition, and then click on complete payment and done. Transaction is complete. Yeah, so now I will request my colleague Ankit to take the presentation from here. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Hina, for thanks, Hina, for sharing the product overview and also walking us through the customer checkout experience. I hope you are able to see my screen now and my video. So I'll be walking you through the value proposition for customers and merchants, starting with our benefit for customers who are the end shoppers. First and foremost, buy now, pay later and installment, they increase your customers' purchasing power and affordability. With the flexibility to do the payment or split the payment into up to 4 months in case of BNPL or up to 48 months in case of installments, customers are well placed to kind of buy their daily need products as well as some of the aspirational products which they would have not bought otherwise, and split the cost into equal installments. Second important benefit is enabling buy now pay later and installment. You can provide line of credit to all bank customers. Like Hina has mentioned, right? Installments provides line of credit to credit card customer, which is for a longer duration. Buy now pay later have solved that gap, and they also provide line of credit to both debit and credit card customer. Third is instant credit. So with installments, as you have seen in the checkout experience, right, as long as your customer's available credit limit on their credit card is higher than the transaction amount, they can easily check out installments and convert into installments. So for example, if I am buying something in UAE for 5,000 dirhams, and if my available credit limit on my credit card is more than 5,000, let's say 6,000, I'm immediately able to kind of convert my transaction into installments. And with buy now pay later, as you have already seen in the checkout videos, it's a very simple process where you have to register as a first time user your national ID and link your mobile number. And as a repeat customer, you just enter your mobile number and OTP, and instant line of credit is provided. This is hardly, it takes less than 30 seconds for new registration and a very seamless experience for repeat purchase. Last and not the least, both of these payment methods, they are enablers for digital payments. So we have seen a lot of cash customers who are not able to kind of get line of credit now converting into electronic customers, and they are adopting this digital payments, which comes with benefits like convenience, speed, security, and accessibility. So this in turn kind of creates an inclusive payment infrastructure. Moving to the benefits to our merchants. So as a business, like you get to expand your customer coverage. So by by enabling buy now, pay later and installments, you are well positioned to provide credit limit to both your debit card and credit card users. This helps you to attract new customers who want to shop online. Second is improved cash flow. So while a customer gets to split the payment up to 4 months or up to 48 months as per their preference, as a merchant, you get paid 100% of the transaction amount upfront. So this helps you improve your cash flow. So looking at some of the key metrics that we have kind of observed now based upon our average merchant base who use both buy now, pay later and installment solutions from us. So we see that merchants who provide both BNPL and installments, they see a card reduction in card abandonment by 15 to 20%. So customers earlier who used to kind of drop out of the purchase funnel because they did not have enough flexibility in terms of affordability, now they end up purchasing. Not only that, we see an increase in average basket size by 25 to 35%. So with the existing amount of credit limit available, we have seen customers transact more and purchase higher order value products. Third is increase in repeat customer purchase. So it leads to customer retention, and customers would like to kind of shop with the merchants who kind of offer both buy now, pay later and installment solutions. All of these three inputs combined, as a merchant, your ultimate result is an increased sales, which is 15 to 40%. And this is based on an average across APS merchant space. So I would just like to share some of the customer and merchant testimonials here. I'll just pause for 30 seconds so that you can read. First two are our customer testimonials, and the last two are some of our merchant testimonials, where both customers and merchants are happy with buy now, pay later and installment offering. I'll just pause for 30 seconds for you to read it. Okay. So while I have shared an aggregate data on how a merchant can increase their sales by 15 to 20%, right? So this obviously is the outcome of some of the best practices that a merchants kind of follow. So here is a step-by-step guide of some of the best practices, right? As Amazon Payment Services, we share with our merchants to promote installments and buy now, pay later payment methods and realize the true potential. So first is on the offering 0% interest plan, right? So like we mentioned, we provide the flexibility on offering both interest-bearing plans and 0% interest plans to our merchants. But we have seen that customers who merchants who kind of offer 0% plans to their customer, they have seen higher conversions in the range of 15 to 35% as compared to standard interest-bearing plans to the tone of 1 to 8%. And this is quite intuitive, right? For example, if I am a customer and I have to buy an iPhone, I have two merchants. One merchant which allows me to buy on 0% interest, and second, where I'm being charged, let's say 1% interest, right? So I would naturally buy an iPhone with a merchant who is offering 0% interest installments. Specifically in MENA, since we are talking about MENA geography, customers also refrain from using interest-bearing installment plans because of Sharia compliance. Now, here is a typical customer journey for an e-commerce merchant, right? So customer journey is divided into 4 steps. A customer arrives on the mobile or website, right? Then they kind of search for the products they want to buy. They narrow down their search. They kind of read a particular product page. And if they like that item, they kind of select and check out, right? So it's divided into 4 steps. A peculiar thing to note here is that there are dropouts in each of this stage in the customer purchasing funnel. So if you see an example where you have 100 customers who are visiting your website, only 40 to 50% of them will actually get into a particular product page. 15 to 20% of them would make their buying decision and add that particular product or service to their cart. And only 3 to 5% of the customers actually end up purchasing, right? So if you have 100 customers visiting your website, your sales is actually 3 to 5%, right? So if you have, let's say, activated both installments and buy now pay later payment methods, but if you are only promoting it at checkout as a payment method option, you are just catering to the 3 to 5% of the customers who are on the checkout page, but you are missing on the larger opportunity of 95% of your customers who have dropped out, and these could have been your potential shoppers. So what should you do to kind of create this visibility upfront of the purchase funnel? So first and foremost is on your home page, right? So as an e-commerce merchant, you are supposed to, it's highly recommended to kind of have a promotion banner where you kind of socialize that you offer both installments and buy now pay later on your website. And then we also recommend to have dedicated widgets for installments and buy now pay later, where customers can click on this widget and they are redirected to a hyperlink which kind of shows them what are the partner bank, what are the interest rate, and more details which helps them to kind of make a informed purchasing decision. Next is on the product view page. We recommend to have both installments and buy now pay later widgets. So if you see in the left image, right, it's a merchant who has not promoted this payment method. So customers see that it's a 8,000 AED product, feels that it's too much for him or her to buy, and they drop out. Versus if you see on the right hand side, a merchant, if they place both installments and buy now pay later widget, customer gets the flexibility to pick and choose. So with installments, as you can see, the customers get to see that, hey, I can avail a 0% installment and pay AED 223 per month up to 36 months. With buy now pay later, I can pay 2,000 per month for 4 months. So depending on my depending upon the cash account balance that I have, I might choose one of the two payment methods and proceed for checkout. So giving this visibility helps you kind of reduce your cart abandonment. Then there are a few recommendations to kind of raise customer awareness. So we recommend to kind of send email and SMS campaigns to customer targeting peak events or a new product launch, right? For example, illustrations here are showing for Mother's Day, and we have White Friday, Black Friday, any peak event that is relevant to your industry. We recommend that you kind of send email and SMS campaigns. So as you see on the left hand side, we have sent a Happy Mother's Day campaign over here where we are promoting 0% installments for 3, 6, and 12 months and buy now pay later for 4 months. This helps in kind of raising customer awareness that they can avail these payment methods on your website. Next is social media promotion. So we also recommend our merchants to kind of continuously engage on social media channels where your customers are more connected with you. The whole idea is to kind of let them know that you offer both buy now pay later and installments to them, and kind of are taking steps to make purchase more affordable for your customers. So that's all from my side. I'll pause here a bit and we will open the floor now for question and answer sessions. Thank you. I would request the organizers, if there are any questions in the chat, to kind of surface them up, and also or to the audience, if you want to kind of ask any questions, happy to take them up. Yeah.
Thank you, Ankit and Hina, for this informative presentation. So I have a couple of questions in the chat. So the first one, which merchants are eligible for BNPL and installments?
Sure. So,
Hina, you are on mute.
am I audible now? Am I audible now?
Yes, you are on.
Okay, so as I was saying that, today, if we look at installments and buy now, pay later, all the kind of merchants are eligible for installments. If we talk about credit card installments is most suited for the high ticket value merchants because the minimum amount in each of the three countries starts with Egypt, UAE, for example, is 500 AED or 1000 AED, depending from bank to bank and plan to plan. And same in Saudi as well, 500 or 1000 Saudi Riyal. And in Egypt, it's 500 Egyptian pound. So there is a certain minimum amount criteria for a transaction to qualify for credit card installments, which is more suited for the merchants if they meet that threshold as an average ticket size. And it's more suited for merchants like travel, electronics, airlines, holidays. But however, any merchant can avail the credit card installments. And if we talk about buy now pay later, in buy now pay later, actually there is no minimum amount, which basically means if a customer wants, then a customer can convert the transaction into an installments for a 50 dirham transaction as well. So depending on which business you are into, each credit card installments or buy now pay later is suitable. But for buy now pay later, there is absolutely no minimum amount. So any merchant can avail buy now pay later for the category point of view.
Thank you, Hina. I have another question in the chat. What is the advantage with integration of...
We have more questions?
Yes, do you hear me? What is the advantage with integration over APS versus going direct with BNPL vendor?
Ali, can you tell us what are the other questions?
Hina, do you hear me?
Okay, so the next question that we have is across which all categories or which all merchants that the merchants been able to see the increase in purchasing power. So Ankit, would you like to take up that question?
Hi, I hope I'm audible. So we have seen merchant verticals, top use case verticals are electronics, insurance, education. These are high order value kind of verticals, right? Where the average ticket size is relatively higher, greater than let's say 5,000 AED or 5,000 Saudi Riyal. So these kind of verticals where the average order value is higher, customers prefer to split these kind of high order ticket size item into longer duration of installments. Hence, they kind of prefer credit card installments over BNPL here. However, if you look at certain categories like entertainment or e-commerce or airlines or travel, right? So in these kind of verticals, we see where the average ticket size is kind of on a lower side, right? So we see there's a good 50-50% adoption for both buy now, pay later and installment solutions. I hope that answer helps. So it's purely like, just to sum up, it's not based on the verticals, but purely on the average order volumes, right? And the available credit limit for a particular customer that goes into the decision making of whether they should kind of prefer installments or buy now pay later. And as a merchant, we kind of recommend you to offer both these payment methods, right? And give that flexibility into the hands of your customers where they can pick and choose their preferred payment method. Hope that was
Thank you,
helpful.
Ankit. So I have another question.
Thank you, for answering that question. We'll move to the next question. Actually, it's a very interesting question, which basically is asking us, the audience is asking us, what is the difference between credit card installments and a debit card installments? So I think that's a very good question. So just to clarify over here that installments as a facility, if we talk about credit card installments, which is bank led, using any of the partner banks that Amazon Payment Services offers, the installment as a facility today by the banks are offered only on credit card. Debit cards are not something which has been enabled, are offered by the banks or schemes to avail it on installments. However, if we talk about the buy now pay later, then buy now pay later as a facility is available for both. It can be either credit card or a debit card. So a customer can avail any of, can use any of the card, whether it's credit or a debit card, to make the repayment. And it's completely up to customers' wish. So for buy now pay later, both credit and debit is available. But for credit card installments, bank led, it's only credit card which has been offered by banks for installments. I hope this answers the question. We'll move on to the next question, which is talking about which is the most affordable payment method of BNPL for me to add on my online store. And this question has come from an e-commerce merchant who is based in UAE. So Ankit, would you like to talk about on this?
Sure, Hina. Thank you so much. So it's a very relevant question, and I think the answer is something which I've already mentioned in my previous slide, right? So as a merchant, we kind of recommend you to offer both the payment methods, BNPL and credit card installments. Now, depending on the ticket size of the purchase, right? The customer kind of picks. We have seen that around 80% of the customer, they opt for installments if the average order value is on a higher side, right? And most of them kind of prefer buy now pay later for lower ticket size items. So I think, like, from a recommendation perspective, we highly recommend our merchants to kind of offer both the payment methods and give the flexibility in the hands of their customer where they can pick and choose between buy now pay later and installments depending on the line of credit that is kind of available to them at any given point of time. Thank you. Hope that helps.
Thanks, Ankit. Very informative. Yeah. So we've got one more question, and this question is basically about the average ticket size, where a merchant is asking that their average ticket size is 25 to 30,000. And when the merchant checked for buy now pay later, they couldn't get the limit. So they want to know more about the minimum amounts or the maximum amounts which is being offered on buy now pay later and on installments. So that's a very valid question, actually, because if the transaction size is high, then what should a merchant go with, whether it's credit card installments or buy now pay later? So today in UAE and Saudi Arabia, the buy now pay later that we offer, the maximum, the limit that a customer can get on a per transaction level is around 3,000 or 5,000, depending on the merchant category. That's the maximum limit which the buy now pay later providers offer over here. However, when we talk about credit card installments, there is absolutely no limit for credit card installments as long as the customer has that much balance in their credit card. The transaction is valid for credit card installments. So for example, if a merchant is processing a transaction for, let's say, 30,000 or 35,000 dirham or a Saudi riyal, then the transaction is going to be eligible for credit card installments, and there is absolutely no problem at all. However, when we move to Egypt, then the partner that we work with on buy now pay later, which is Value, again, there is no limit at all in Egypt for BNPL. The limit is open as long as the customer has secured the limit from BNPL partner, then the transaction is eligible for BNPL. And on credit card installments in Egypt, similar to UAE and Saudi Arabia, there is no limit, and the merchant can offer it to whatever average ticket size is, and the customer has to have the the balance in their account. I hope I've been able to answer that question. We'll move to the last question that we have, and again, a very interesting question. That will there be any differences or benefits if we become a Tabby customer through Amazon instead of setting up an account with them directly? So very valid question, like asking us about what is the benefit for a merchant to go via Amazon payment services versus directly via Tabby. So Ankit, would you like to take that question?
Sure, thank you. It's actually a very good question. So imagine two circumstances, right? Where as a merchant, you have kind of activated installments from Amazon Payment Services, and then you have kind of activated Tabby separately, directly with the BNPL vendors. And you might as well prefer to kind of onboard more than one BNPL vendors, right? So in this case, right? And second is an option where, let's say, as a merchant, you have integrated directly with Amazon Payment Services for both BNPL and installments. So in option two, you get to kind of view entire transaction report in one dashboard. So you don't have to kind of reconcile between multiple dashboard to kind of get your payments data. Versus in the first option, you have to basically look at individual providers report to kind of look at what are the metrics, and it kind of leads to a hassle for reconciliation. Second is like we kind of because of our partnership, right, with banks and with BNPL providers, we to certain extent help negotiate rates better for our merchants. So that is a second advantage that you could kind of find. Thank you.
Thanks, Ankit. We're just going to take one last question, and I'm glad to see such engagement from our audience, and I'm really happy to see that. So our last question is merchant asking for what is the minimum requirement for merchants to avail BNPL and installments. Actually, there is no minimum requirement as such for BNPL and for installments. So when a merchant goes live with Amazon Payment Services, or when they enable our services, the merchant submits the document to us, signs the agreement. So at the same pace, a merchant has to sign the agreement, sign the commercial deal with us and with our partner as well, and that's it. And merchant needs to do the integration, very simple APIs that we have. That's the integration the merchant needs to do. And then the merchant is being able to offer both BNPL and credit card installments. Other than that, there is no as such specific or a special requirement that we have for these two products that we offer. It's a part of the regular credit card processing requirements of KYC, and the commercial agreement and the integration that a merchant has to do is the only requirement. Other than that, we don't have any such requirement for this. I think we are very close to the time as well, and I believe we have addressed all the questions. So once again, I would like to just thank to all our listeners, and really appreciate the time that the listeners have taken out and attending this webinar. Appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. And we'll also be sending this recording to all of our listeners. And if in case, if any of the listeners have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us at Amazon Payment Services. And we look forward to, working with you in the future. Thank you, everyone.